Live and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEM-TV5 News at 7 on My 5.
A thorough soaking across mid-Michigan tonight. The rain fell nice and steady across the area, punctuated by some loud thunderstorms throughout the day. It's hardly the weather you want to see if you're traveling for the Labor Day holiday or preparing to watch a football game. Will it continue in tonight? Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman is here now in the First Warn 5 Weather Center with the first look at that forecast. Hey, Brian.
Hi there, David. Certainly a soaking and then some out there today. This alone, just the stack of severe thunderstorm and flash flood warnings that we've received in the last couple of hours. Now, thankfully, it appears that things are beginning to wind down. We don't have any more severe thunderstorm warnings, haven't actually since about 5 o'clock, nor do we have any active flash flood warnings. But the potential for more flooding is there since rain continues to fall on already saturated ground. Here's a look at where we stand on your First Warn 5 pinpoint Doppler radar, live from MBS in 3D tonight. Now, the good news is that a lot of the heavier and more organized rain, it has begun to shift a bit farther to the east. You can see it making a bit more progress into areas of the thumb and really starting to move toward the I-69 corridor. In fact, pretty much taking up that entire stretch of highway at this point through mid-Michigan. So as you continue your evening plans, I should say, if you are headed out in, excuse me, any of those areas or maybe getting an early jump on some holiday travel, please be especially careful, as it will not take much to really cause some widespread flooding issues. And remember, if you encounter a flooded roadway, you never want to try to drive across it. Always find an alternate route as this whole complex still continues to shift to the south and east over the next couple of hours. Better idea of how things have been progressing on your First Warn 5 Sky Tracker. It's all thanks to a small surface disturbance that, if you remember, was parked over Wisconsin yesterday, just very gradually shifted over the lower peninsula today, and you can really see that counterclockwise swirl at one point. And that was really what we needed to finally get something to tap into all of the moisture we've had in the air mass for the better part of the last 3 to 4 days, and it just squeezed it like a sponge today. With all that in mind, we do still have a flash flood watch in effect for the green shaded counties, pretty much everyone from Midland County and Bay County southward to I-69 and eastward into the thumb. That'll actually be in effect until 4 a.m. tomorrow, again, for the possibility of more flooding with any more rain that we do get. We'll take a look at the full Labor Day weekend forecast. That's coming up in just a little bit.
Brian, thank you. And remember to keep those cameras handy. We want to see your storm snapshots. Just email them to WNEM at WNEM.com or post them on our Facebook page. The storms dumped a lot of rain on the area in a relatively short amount of time, causing some street level flooding in certain spots. TV5's Ronnie Duncan is in Flint with more.
It's amazing what Mother Nature can do in such a short period of time. And here in Flint, we experienced the rain, the lightning, and the wind all at one short period of time. This is no construction site. However, it's workers cleaning up the damage in the aftermath of the storm. At this home in Flint, several branches of this tree fell victim to the wind, lightning, and heavy rain. Flood damage was visible and clogged drainage on some city streets, making it almost impossible to drive through. This is as bad as it got here in Flint in some parts. This is Hazelton and 2nd Street. Now, this car is going to go through, but you will see as it goes through, it's almost more than a foot of water. So unless you have an SUV, you might need a paddle just to get across that water. You see that water down there. What do you think, man?
I think I'm going to turn around and not go through it.
You know, a lot of people have tried it. I mean, tell me why, in your opinion, you don't go through something like that.
I don't want to stall out.
Manuel Reyes had the right idea. He went the other way. However, Jerry Day says a lot of drivers tested their faith. Jerry saw it all while doing some work on his house.
Actually, it was almost like a full of water. Full of water came up, and a lot of cars didn't start in time, and they kind of like ran off the road a little bit, and you know, some of them just stalled out from the corner over there. According to Jerry, this corner is notorious for flooding whenever there's heavy rain. I think the drains stopped up there.
Jerry Day says he sees that flood once too many times, and maybe the city needs to fix that drainage so a lot of folks aren't stalled in the water. Reporting in Flint, Ronnie Duncan, WNEM TV5 News at 7 on My 5.
Ronnie, thank you. Of course, today and especially tomorrow are big travel days for the unofficial end of summer. Taking a look at traffic conditions, according to MDOT's MyDrive website, everything in green means traffic is moving smoothly. Other than some minor delays, it looks like I-75 and I-69 are looking pretty good at this hour. Continuing coverage now on the Todd Corser sex scandal. Tonight, a group of his constituents are looking to sue the Lapeer Republican. It comes after a House investigation revealed Corser misused their tax dollars. Now some of those taxpayers want payback. TV5's Nick Lully has that.
I still feel like he needs to step down.
Deborah Lawson and a group of other Lapeer voters have been pushing for Todd Corser to resign for some time. The embattled Republican has been at the center of a sex scandal and subsequent cover-up for weeks. Lawson says she and other residents want to bring a class action lawsuit because a state report shows he misused taxpayer resources.
We think it's only fair that we shouldn't have to pay for it as his constituents and as the taxpayers, and he shouldn't be allowed to have his paycheck.
Corser, for his part, declined comment for this story. He's been active on Facebook in the past 24 hours, though, explaining why he's deleting certain comments and asking his constituents for advice.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. He's blocked everyone from his Facebook that is asking to have him step down.
The process for possibly removing Corser from office started this week at the Capitol. It's unclear if the select committee reviewing his actions will force him from his position or censure him instead. Lawson hopes the result comes sooner rather than later. Any statement to Todd Corser if maybe he's watching this tonight?
Yes, please resign, Todd. Step out of office. We need representation. You are not credible, and the Lapeer community is asking you to step down.
Nick Lully, WNEM-TV 5 News at 7 on My 5.
As of now, the House has not announced a date for the next hearing. Stay with TV5 for continuing coverage. A man is alive tonight with only minor injuries after getting clipped by a train. It happened late last night near Shattuck and Elm in Carlton. Police say the man was drunk and collapsed on the tracks. The train engineer saw the man and sounded his horn, but the man didn't completely get out of the way in time. Police say the man had only minor injuries. The city of Flint is firing back at people who say the water is unsafe to drink. Officials say the latest testing shows contaminant levels are well below the required level, and the city is now out of violation with the Safe Water Drinking Act. It comes the same week as citizens turned in a petition with 26,000 signatures calling for the city to go back to purchasing water from Detroit.
It's probably one of the most terrifying things you can imagine at that point in time.
A mid-Michigan police officer recovering tonight after he was hit by a car while responding to a building fire. Just a bit ago, the officer was identified as Matthew Eckerman. We also know he is expected to survive. TV5's James Felton has more on how these situations can easily be avoided.
He had said that he was attempting to get someone to turn, and then he saw the car, and it happened just that fast. He said he didn't have time to react.
That's what Michelle Fleming says her fellow police officer Matthew Eckerman said about his run-in with a car last night. The Saginaw Township police officer was directing traffic at Maple Woods Drive West and McCarty Road. Emergency crews were battling a fire at the McCarty Wine and Cheese party store just down the street. He was struck by the vehicle, rolling over the top of the car. Fleming urges motorists to take caution when police are out directing traffic.
The number one thing is slow down and take your time. If you're not sure what to do, stop. We will come and direct you as to which direction we want traffic to go.
Meanwhile, Chief Donald Pucell is breathing a sigh of relief.
We're very fortunate that the officer was not seriously injured last night after being struck by the car. I met with him at the hospital, very thankful, no serious injuries.
Michigan State Police are investigating the incident. Meanwhile, Fleming tells us she's never been hit by a car herself, but she's had a few close calls.
It's probably one of the most terrifying things you can imagine at that point in time. Your heart starts to race and you don't know what's going to happen, and you just hope and pray that they stop in time or you get out of the way in time.
Eckerman is expected to make a full recovery. As for Fleming, she uses this reflective vest along with her patrol car, cones and flares to help moderate traffic. Now she's asking motorists to use their patience.
We want to get the road open and traffic flowing normally just as much as the drivers do, but we also want to do it safely, not only for us, but for the citizens as well.
James Felton, WNEM-TV 5 News at 7 on My 5.
A state police spokesman says they will turn over their findings of their investigation to the Saginaw County prosecutor. It is not clear if the driver who hit the officer will face criminal charges. Well, football isn't the only sport that is back in action. Still ahead, where you can catch the new Flint Firebirds take the ice tonight. Plus, the biggest motorcycle event of the year is almost upon us. The schedule for this year's Bikes on the Bricks, that's next. You are watching TV5 News at 7 on My 5, serving Freeland, Goodrich, Bay City, and your hometown too. It's coverage you can count on.